What is up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Guns, Nerds, and Steel. My name is Temrecki, and today I'll be hosting an interview with Fun Pimp co-founders and masterminds behind 7 Days to Die, Rick and Joel Huenink. Gentlemen, it's a pleasure to have you here. Welcome onto the channel.
Hi, I'm Richard Huenink, one of the co-founders of the Fun Pimps and creators of 7 Days to Die.
And I'm Joel Huenink, basically the same.
Yeah, if my beard gets any bigger and his gets any smaller, you might have to confuse us. You never know.
I've seen pictures before. You guys are brothers, right? It's been hard for me to distinguish sometimes who's who in these pictures, like when you're dressed up in the cosplay and stuff like that.
Yeah, we're brothers. I'm the eldest of the two. Actually, we have an older brother that works with us too. He's not a founder, but he came on a couple years ago.
I'd like to start things off today with probably the most pressing question that's on everyone's mind right now. And that is, who do you think would win in a fight? 1 Arlene-sized chicken or 50 chicken-sized Arlenes?
1 Arlene-sized chicken.
Well, since chickens don't have an attack, they're going to lose. You'd have to change the code on them. But no, and just having fun, I think the bunch of zombie chickens would win.
I'm gonna go with that too.
Okay. All right. I promise I won't catch you off guard with these funny questions too much today. But before we get into some of the more nitty-gritty questions, I just wanted to see if you could share some background about the Fun Pimps, how it all started, and where the idea for a zombie survival voxel sandbox game came from. Because I've heard that it came up during a Thanksgiving dinner. Is there any truth to that?
That's absolutely true.
Yeah, about every year we would get together and come up with a cool idea for a great game, but then we'd kind of part separate ways and would never do it. And I was like, why don't we actually do it this time? And so Rick sent me some designs about a week later, and I was like, really? So I kind of, started reading them, and we started iterating on it and riffing, and next thing you know, we were building a team and going for it.
We've how far back do you want us to go here? Because Joel and I started a game company in '98 together, and that was our first job, was trying to start a company, and then we started working for other people later. But and 12 years later, or whatever, circle back, we're doing it again, with this.
So 7 Days to Die is consistently in the top 50 most played games on Steam. Are you surprised by the increasing popularity of the game over time? And what sort of influences do you draw from for the art style, for the direction of the game?
Originally we just kind of elevator pitch here, but it was like, what if Fallout meets Minecraft meets The Walking Dead all had a baby? That would be this game. Art style, we've always been a fan of realistic looking art for the most part. I like some games that have a style, but I think we just went with realistic for this game.
We, the technology with voxels is very fascinating to us, and we decided that, obviously it's a big leap to kind of enjoy Minecraft if you like graphics and games, but both of us started playing Minecraft too, and that was a reasonably decent influence, but we wanted a little more RPG and mobs that chase you every night. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of influences. We've both been watching horror movies since we were kids, and Bethesda games as well, Oblivion, Skyrim, Fallout. It was an ambitious idea. We graphically we beat it down to make it less ambitious and ship early features, but the overall vision, and if you watch that Kickstarter, was, are we insane? This is a buffet of features, and we're only 3 people.
You spoke about your vision. Would you say that the changes that have been made to the game over the years and any future changes are more geared toward new players, existing players, veteran players, or more in line with your overall vision for what the game should be?
I think we've always tried to maintain our vision, but we do take into consideration, like a few alphas ago, we catered a lot to new players, and we're catering to veterans a little more in this newer build, making it a little harder on survival, water, a lot of new changes there coming. So it's kind of 50-50 in my mind.
As we make the game more elegant, I think, meaning it's easier to sort of pick up and play for new players, we add legs to it by extending some features so that a long game for people who enjoy really long games can. So it's a bit of both, as Joel said.
I'm not going to lie, some of the sentiment over the years towards certain changes has been met by some people with criticism. So how do you guys as a team handle this sort of criticism? And does the community have some voice in how the game is developed and what changes are made?
We always try to listen to the community as long as what they want aligns with our design sensibilities and our business goals. We mostly listen to the community on things like game balance and things that players are stuck on, or exploits. But as far as main features and design changes, we rely on our team to make those decisions. TFP has big debates over designs that we think are very important to everyone, the team, the players, and our goal is always to try to do what's best for the game. If something turns out bad, we'll fix it. And we know that some changes have been met with skepticism, yet each alpha exceeds the concurrent player peak and daily active users of the last alpha, which to me is a good indicator that we're on the right track. Yeah, it's we can't always make everybody happy. There's always going to be a certain sector that is nostalgic about an old feature that we changed. But it's interesting with a community our size, if 1/100% complained about a feature, it might feel like the sky is falling. Fortunately, we've only had some pitchforks, and we've had a mob of pitchforks where we were like, guys, calm down, we're going to fix this, we're going to balance this. We think just unbalanced. We've shipped some undercooked features before. In the end, when we patched them, people were like, oh, I guess I understand what your intent was now. What it says to me is they care about our game and they love our game, even if it's coming across in maybe not a flattering way.
Okay, well, I was hoping that we could talk briefly about a bit of a touchy subject, and that is the console version of the game. So many of us are familiar with the story about how console version did get stuck at around Alpha 15 and hasn't been updated since, but we're all very thrilled to hear that you've resumed working on the console version and then an update will come out at some point in the future. But can you just is there anything that you can add to how this story unfolded, and what would a console update look like for someone who's already purchased the game?
We don't want to go really into the past too much. I mean, Telltale went insolvent and our product got stuck in legal land for some good time. That left us in a bad spot. So we tried to move forward with the business model that we had, which was PC. And when we finally got the rights back, we made some decisions based on that PC community, and kind of outgrew the old hardware, so to speak, and went through a bad process of not supporting one code base for all systems, which that was in other people's decisions. We weren't able to make those decisions because we weren't paying for it. This time we're paying for it, so we're able to make those decisions that are proper to make it so it can be a unified code base that supports hopefully all SKUs the same way. We are excited that we have an external team working on it, and they've been working on it for a few months, 6 months or so, and they're ramping up and they're making some progress. We're getting more hardware for our developers to port it with them, and our hope, I mean, there's a lot of factors in this thing. Basically, we'd like to support full res textures, full draw distance, 10K worlds, persistent servers for console players, and crossplay. And there's a lot of work and a lot of technical uncertainty surrounding these goals. Sony and Microsoft have to sign off on those things. You can't just say, I want to do crossplay. They have to say, yeah, we'll let you. You've made a good you've given us a good reason to want to support that and green light that, because it is their hardware, it's not ours. So we are just hoping that they will support those decisions. As far as legacy console version people, we do have a strong desire to discount the new game for those players, and but again, that's in Microsoft and Sony's realm. They have to agree to this, and if it's even technically possible, given the fact that the original SKU was owned by Telltale and is a different back end than what we have. As you can see, it's a complicated nest there, and we're trying to navigate it and make all parties happy at the same time. We don't know for sure, but it looks like next year we can do a drop. No commitment yet, because the things that you can't promise something that isn't running on all the hardware with all features we have intended for it to release. But there's a possibility to get it out next year with an interim release and then do another release for gold. That's our hope.
So I'm going to pitch a hypothetical question to you right now. In a real-world survival scenario, would you rather eat an old sham sandwich or drink murky water found from a toilet?
Oh, man.
I'm going to go with the toilet. It's a
I can't believe I'm asking these
a
questions,
Yeah,
a
but
rotten
this is where we're
sandwich.
at.
probably the toilet, unfortunately.
You didn't say whether you could flush it or not first.
Many survival games are known for their mods, and 7 Days to Die has a very robust modding community. Do you envision 7 Days to Die having Steam Workshop access, and what influence do mods have on what features are or are not added to the game?
We definitely want to go on Steam Workshop. Yeah, so I'm a big fan. That's actually how I got into game development. If they do something that we're doing, then great minds think alike. Otherwise, it just mods are more of a personal preference kind of thing. Like they extend the game. I love mods, but we have a pretty strong vision, so we don't really pay attention to the mods. I think we've been presented a few, like that was a neat interface mod.
Oh, well, we might. A lot of our guys look at them and, I guess I'd be excited for something that was like a total conversion more than, hey, we've augmented the UI so it shows your XP down to the point, those kind of mods don't excite me that much because I'm not a stat player like that. I'm not a min maxer. I want to play the game. I don't want to create a loop for myself that's not in the normal game, which you find yourself doing. If you play Skyrim, you find yourself, oh, I'm at the blacksmith. I'm making knives all day. Wait, I stopped having fun all of a sudden. What happened? Why? You can see how many are using them based on how long an alpha's been out. If it's been out for 8 months, more of them are using mods. And I'm not going to say we won't ever be inspired by one or haven't been a little bit. Sometimes there's some cool features like that would be kind of fun to do in a game. I would love to see a mod team do so well that we want to support it as a mainline game and fund them. Like, hey, that looks pretty cool. You guys,
Yeah.
how about we fund you? Make this official. So,
We need the team, not the idea. We need a team of guys that can just knock it
well, it's
out.
a little bit the idea. It's a little bit the team. Are they lacking? They can code really good, and they have a good design sensibilities, and they just need animation, UI, levels, character support, and some of the other disciplines generally. But
My next question is, how important is player agency to you? In a game that's open world, that has so many ways that you can survive, do you ever feel the need to enforce any particular playstyle that you think might be more interesting or rewarding to the player?
we like to support as much play styles and freedom as possible, keeping the sand in the sandbox. However, sometimes we need to change or limit some features so the majority of the play styles are not hindered by supporting that particular play style. Or, there's an exploit like, oh, I don't like it when zombies dig underground. Well, we don't like exploits in our survival game, so we're going to close loopholes like that. I don't know, Joel. How do you feel about that, Joel?
I want to support as many play styles as we can. I mean, I do role playing in games, and I'm going to be this type of character this game, this type of guy this game. But yeah, we like to support as many styles and features as we can. But when something makes it so it's there's like no risk or no fear, no nothing. Like if something can be exploited that bad, we've got to fix that. We've got to address it. So it can't
Like,
be so easy that people miss a major chunk of the game because they build an underground base, and you're missing out on all the fun, all the challenge.
and we've talked about like making nerd pulling a game option that for those who want to cheat, off by default because we think that's an inferior experience to cheat like that. When I watch somebody who's really good at the game do that and they get on a roof in 10 seconds, and I'm like, ugh. I think where we were at was with it was you can nerd pull in your land claims. So in other words, to build a cool base, you can nerd pull. We've talked about that off and on, and it's been a little pet peeve of mine.
Every time you make the game harder, at least 90% of the time you make the game harder, the game is better. So when you take out any cheesy exploit and all of a sudden you have to think and use your brain, hey, I'm having fun again. I'm engaged. I'm not on autopilot destroying this game. We close a few loopholes and let players reinvent how they survive. And to me, that makes the game feel like a brand new game all over again. I mean, we don't want to rip it out and destroy the experience, pull out the rug from under them on a lot of stuff. That's too much. But certain things like that, we usually tend to put an option in for that. So hey, if I like playing this way, I can still play this way. But you put the option in for the people who want the extra added challenge.
And I imagine as we go closer to gold, and this has been the case when we reorg the menus a little bit, there's room more for what we feel are game lengthening game options that so post gold or during gold, people can play the game a lot of different ways, and simulation changes that are we feel are good, or some more less, not simulation changes, but more preference kind of whatever. If you don't want zombies that dig, who knows what we'll put in.
So it's been said in the past that Alpha 21 would be the last alpha, but I've heard some rumblings on the forums that there might be plans for an Alpha 22. Would you say that the focus right now is on adding new content, refining the existing content, or sort of overhauling what you see as broken or placeholder game mechanics?
We've been doing a lot of that. It's a little bit of everything, honestly. We're redoing old systems that were placeholder or very old and thrown in real quick, refining existing systems, and we're working on new systems. But we're moving more towards polishing and refining rather than so much new.
There's a couple of big three features that are coming. It's difficult to do the most challenging features in a short amount of time. Like we could do a version of bandits probably come in this alpha, but will they spawn how we want them to spawn? Can you quest locations with them? What are the spawn rules? Are they more heavily weighted in the wasteland? A lot of factors to just, other than just, hey, they spawn with a club and they can chase you. We have more ambitious goals than that. They'll spawn with a club. They might spawn with an equipped firearm and take cover. There's the guys are working on. It's being worked on. Bandits are likely not going to make this alpha because after all this time waiting for them, we don't want it to be like a partial version or incomplete version.
The big reveal needs to be a big reveal and not just, well, this is 20% of what we have envisioned. Everybody will just see it and think it's crap if we put it out too soon. So we got to bake it properly. Yeah, but they've been in the game for a while, and they're in my build currently, and they're a pain in the butt. They need to be polished more before we can ship them.
The good news is that it could lead to a shorter time cycle where we do an Alpha 22 that is, spring if things go well, because we've got 70% of some of those features done, but they're not ready for the timing of Alpha 21. So an Alpha 22 could come out, and whether that's gold or not, I really quite, after all these years, I don't understand the desire to say let's rubber stamp it gold and therefore it's good. It's an interesting thought there. It's like, you guys must suck because you haven't gone gold yet. And it's like, okay, well, guess what? No AAA who has made a game like this yet. Why not? Because it's too hard. That's why. It's got too many features. It's Grand Theft Auto where you can destroy the entire world and you can go in every building and play a quest in every building and build anything you want in multiplayer environment. That's pretty darn ambitious, with random gen cities that look realistic, that are generated on the fly for replay value. RPG system with skills. Got more features than 10 games, and we're
looting. The list of features just goes on and on. There's a lot there.
So along that line, with all of the new features that have come to 7 Days to Die, such as HD graphics, HD weapons, new zombies, multiplayer, random world gen, dynamic lighting, dynamic music, can you speak to the performance of the game and what players should expect going forward in future updates?
Sometimes it's a couple steps forward and a step backwards. We've done a lot of performance for the console version and for PC. And Sean has been particularly worked on a lot of optimizations. We're happy to say that we think we might be, well, not art gold, but a lot of models that we need replacing are happening in this big push on this update. Once the artists could stop making content, they can actually optimize that content. Performance is important to us, and we might even delay this build if we don't think our performance is on par or better than the last alpha. But likely the best optimizations will come with gold when we can actually content lock, and the guys are no longer working on new stuff. It's fixed. It's a challenging game. It goes back to the game design. I want a world where I can go through cities, I can bring down skyscrapers, I can build anything I want. It's populated with lots of zombies. It's multiplayer,
and we want it to look pretty. That's the hard part with doing all the cool stuff.
I think really believe that that's one of the reasons why AAA games have not really done a 7 days knockoff. They make knockoffs of everything else, battle royales and whatever else is successful that they think they can do without having to spend a decade engineering something that can do this. Art can look good and not be costly.
So, with regard specifically to the crafting system, we've seen a change from previous versions where it was learned by doing to current version where it's learned by leveling. In an Alpha 21, we're looking at learn by looting. Can you just walk us through what the evolution of this crafting system has been like from a development perspective?
I want to be able to craft the full range of items. Well, the first system was just spam crafting a bunch of stone axes to max it out, and then you're crafting purple everything. And then the second system, you're choosing a perk. Problem with that system was the perk would put you at blue. If you perked into it right away, you could craft a blue item. And then you get the schematic to unlock your steel pickaxe, and the first one you can craft is almost the end game pickaxe. So you're crafting only a blue one. You don't ever get to craft a brown steel pickaxe. You basically were skipping tons of progression. So we wanted a system that allowed players to craft more tools and have more useful tools in their playthrough. So the new system works really well in the regard that there's kind of a looting probability where I'm going to find more books on the things that I perked into than the things I haven't perked into. So it's kind of has a weighted system that helps you. And then when you max that skill out, it goes back to normal probability. So you're not, if I perk into spears, I don't want to, hey, I've got every spear book in the game. I don't want to keep finding a million spear books. So you can kind of keep improving your skill. But what I found is I've never done as much crafting before in my life, and I'm a looter. I do a lot of looting, but now I'm like, hey, I can craft one just a little bit better than the one I had. I'm going to craft that sucker because I'm ready to get a little bit better spear, or better club, or whatever. So it's really a matter of necessity for balancing the game. So basically your crafting skill is really mirrored to your level and your perk choices, and it doesn't, and you're not skipping any progression, and that's what we like.
There was a couple areas of the game that we felt were skipping progression. So this crafting system was part of the effort to kind of improve that and make it more smart, intelligent, if you will. And then there's a sales stage number that is kind of another thing that's behind the scenes going on, so that you're not offered like something that's way better than you're looting currently at the trader. Somewhat better is great, like, oh, I could buy a higher color that does more damage of this one, or maybe even two colors, but it's pricey. But so some efforts have been made to make the progression more intelligent as a whole in that area too.
Yeah, it's all just part of the grand scheme of things for getting the progression to feel right, so that your what you can loot, what you can craft, and what you can buy is all in the same ballpark, instead of there's a little bit all over the place. You'd find that purple pickaxe way too soon, and I'm done. I don't need another one ever again. So it's kind of to help control the growth curve of the player, and keep it a little more challenging, slow things down. Now I can craft those micro improvements along the way. It as long as I'm making progress, I'm happy. I don't need a pickaxe that's 20 times better than the one I have currently. I just need one a little bit better. Give me those little micro improvement, and I'm happy. People will keep playing. They'll craft another one. They'll find another one. So I'm real happy with this system. I think players are going to like it. I know there's been some skepticism on the forums, but everybody likes it internally. I like it. I think it's something I've never even seen something quite like this before. And especially with the intelligent looting system we have now, that was kind of a result of this feature that we've added. What you loot now is even geared towards what you like. Finding an M60 is useless to me when I'm looking for a shotgun. So you still find one, but it's not as common, or it's not equally random.
The game thinks you're investing in this, you like this, we're going to give you a little more weighted loot towards what we think you like. So
it doesn't feel like night and day. I mean, you still have some randoms. You're going to find a bit of everything. Chances are you're going to find what you're looking for, or get the parts for what you're wanting to craft. Let's put it that way.
My next question is with regard to Twitch integration. So we've seen a lot of work on this over the past year or so, and I think Lathan has been kind of spearheading this effort. Do you think it's possible, or are there any plans for YouTube live stream integration in the future?
No plans right now. We're working hard on a Twitch 2.0 that has full integration with a shell overlay and even mobile. Who knows? If the YouTube streaming, I don't know if it's more popular. I don't have any numbers on that yet. Supporting the next update's really cool because you can have a larger audience and it scales well with that larger audience, so the chat's not flooded with commands.
All right, so 7 Days to Die has been in development for almost 10 years. And do you see the team working on 7 Days to Die indefinitely? Or once you reach gold, do you see some of those resources being transferred onto new projects? And do you have any new projects that you'd like to talk about today?
We've been talking about gold and what post gold looks like, and probably keeping a small live team on for quite some time that's making free location content, some DLCs that we were thinking about, and just support balance patches too, because you get your best analytics for a game when you're done and you're not moving a bunch of stuff around. You're going, what is our final game balance? We've taken a lot of steps there. So we will keep a live team on for quite some time. Might be 5 people is all. Team size now, we're getting close to 60. We have about 10 that are working on an unannounced game in Unreal. We have an unannounced game that is very friendly for the 7 Days tech that is a new IP that we haven't announced, which a majority of the team would go to after we're done, and some will go to the Unreal project. And we have a third party working on an unannounced game we're publishing.
Got a lot going on then. Can we get any clues? Anything at all?
The only thing I could tell you is we think that our community, if you're a 7 Days customer, you will like these games. And there'll be some surprising things about some of them, but we think our fans will like these games because it's something that may not be exactly like 7 Days, but it has some elements like 7 Days in it. We're big into open world. We're big into multiplayer. We're big into RPGs. There'll be some common things about those other titles.
There's actually an Easter egg in 7 Days to Die talking about one of the games. I'm not going to tell you what it is and where to find it. If you dig for 2,000 hours, you can find some information on one of the titles.
Have there been any thoughts about creating a roadmap for the community and sort of just outlining what the studio's goals are before gold and maybe making some checkboxes that need to be ticked before release?
We've discussed this a lot over the years, and we've seen other companies put up roadmaps and they were wrong with those roadmaps, and they got criticized heavily for being wrong about their assumptions about what they wanted to do and what was most important, without having a crystal ball that's perfect, about what you're wanting to do and what will pan out technically. Which isn't always the case. Hey, we're supporting crossplay on console. We don't know if we can do it. There's a lot of technical uncertainty there, so putting things like that on a roadmap are an exercise in disappointing people generally, and or if you're wrong, that's a bad PR move. Some core things are going in before gold are bandits, player armor, story. We're going to fix weather, I think, is something that's happening.
Radiation survival.
Some of these things are being debated to their value and how much effort, what they look like, and so, or have technical uncertainty. So putting stuff that we're not even certain we want to do, or we're technically uncertain, putting that on a roadmap is not a wise idea, because people take everything at face value that you say. I think it's pretty safe to say we've already worked on it, and we're committed to making bandit enemies, 2 factions, White River, and when I say faction, you could kind of do quests for either type. They'll all hate everybody and all hate the zombies, but you can go and trade and do business with the types.
So they're not all hostile then?
Not hostile within a trader compound, they won't be hostile.
Oh, I see. Okay. So we've got 2 factions of bandits. You can do quests for them, but you can also encounter them presumably in the wild and they'll attack you.
Yeah, I mean, if they're guarding a POI and that's where the loot is, having friendlies would be like, okay, I guess we could go loot the whole POI without consequence. So, and it's one of the reasons why Skyrim would do factions, but they have their walled cities where everybody's friendly, and out in the wild, nobody's friendly. It has some common design to that. We're fixing the UI up in the next alpha. We've got a graphic designer, so I think that's a no-brainer without technical uncertainty. Like I said, we desire to do crossplay with console, but I don't know if we could get approval from the stakeholders at Sony and Microsoft, or if there's any other restrictions like, they can't load up 10K worlds. We have to do a server that runs 8K worlds, if you want to have crossplay work. In other words, it's got too much uncertainty to put on a roadmap. You could probably take these things as roadmap: bandits, player armor, story, weather, and there's a lot of other minor features, that are quality of life improvements, like map sorting and
There's a ton of quality of life stuff going into 21.
oh yeah.
I think you guys are really going to in for a treat when you see all the quality of life we have.
Are there any plans to add any new zombie types or like boss zombies, kind of like we had the behemoth in the past? Any plans on things like that?
In the near future, I mean, I designed a bunch of new zombies that we really didn't pull the trigger on. So if we get the time and effort, energy, desire, we can always
Maybe
do that.
there might be maybe a couple before gold. We have talked about this generalized system that could allow us to put a level to the enemy and add a buff to that enemy, or an area buff, and is a generalized system to give the game more game staging legs, a more gamey version of it that's already in Twitch integration, maybe something along those lines. Would love to pull the trigger on a couple of the designs that Joel has mentioned there about some special infected or improved behaviors for some current special infected that, where we get some, but the guys are trying to get the bandits going. So they're the guys that are in the AI department are kind of working hard on that.
And my last question for you is, can we get any sort of a sense on what the storyline is going to look like eventually, and who is the Duke of Navezgane?
Kind of trying to keep that under wraps so we don't spoil gold. There will be a progression to quests where if you do enough quests, you'll gain the attention of the main antagonist and main protagonist to start doing quests for them and to meet them personally.
You'll be able to quest for both for a little bit, and then you'll have to make your hard decision. Which faction is for me? So you'll be able to put your big toe in the water, but you're not going to be able to dive all the way in without.
So there'll be some quest types that you'll have to replay the game basically as one faction or the other when the decision gate comes up to expose that content or to experience that content.
All right, those are all the questions that I have for you today. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to speak with me, and I can't wait to share this information with the community. Gentlemen, thank you.
Bye.
Have a good day.
Anyway, my friends and fellow survivors, this has been an interview with the Fun Pimps. Drop a like if you enjoyed this video, and leave a comment with your reaction, and subscribe for more exclusive content just like this. I've been your host, Temreki, and I wish you all the very best. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey everyone, my name is Temreki, and I just wanted to say thank you for watching, for leaving a like, and most of all, thank you to the long list of amazing supporters that you see here. I hope this episode has earned your subscription, and I can't wait to show you the next one. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.